and gifts. And Messenger is also online at traditionalcatholicstore.com. That's traditionalcatholicstore.com. If you give this Care-a-thon and you give at least $250 or more, we have some great prizes that you can get entered into, and that drawing will be today at the last hour at about 6 o'clock. And we also have a special host that's coming in for those last couple of hours. So make sure that you stay tuned. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful day. But if you give $250 or more, you will get one of our car sunshade Divine Mercy radio logos. And these are those pop open things that go up in your windshield so that it keeps the sun out of your car. Really well done, looks great, and they fold up very easily. Also, along with that, you get entered into our drawing for a Bose Smart speaker, which was donated by Dave and Janet Schmidt. They're the owners of Dave's Auto Repair. A 1987 silver proof Eagle coin donated by Dustin Roths. He's the owner of Diamond R Jewelry. A handmade ladder rosary donated by Dora Liker. A barbecue gift set donated by Kelly Kinky, who is the owner of Horizon Appliance and Electronics. You also get entered into that drawing for a gift set, including a hand-woven bracelet, hand-carved limestone cross, and wax reveal candle donated by Kathy Shupman, who is the owner of Kat's Hallmark. A $100 gift certificate to Hickok Steakhouse, which, by the way, they've been feeding us all week, and it has been amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Go support them. They support us. That is donated by Oscar Runyon, Greg Whitehair, and Damon Hoare. They are the owners there. The last thing that we have in the drawing is a men's Divine Mercy Radio shirt and a women's Divine Mercy Radio shirt, and you get to pick your size and logo. If you give $500 or more, you get put in that drawing, plus you receive a 60-second spot celebrating a loved one's birthday, an anniversary of a death, a baptism, a wedding, or any other celebration you can think of. You get the information to us, we'll get it on the air for you. If you give $1,000 or more, you get everything that I already mentioned, plus a Divine Mercy Divine Mercy Radio baseball cap. It's really fantastic. I've seen some people already wearing it, and it looks great. Plus, you receive 2 tickets to our annual banquet, and that will be held Saturday, September 7th here in Hayes, and Sunday, September 8th in Colby. Our guest speaker there is Catholic Answers apologist Joe Heschmeyer. We did a great recording with him here a couple months ago. Go to our website on the YouTube website and look that up, and you can see just what you'll be getting ready for. He's a great speaker. We will have a wonderful, wonderful banquet. All right. Ways to listen. We want you to take us with you no matter where you're going. If you're out on a run, if you are in your house cooking, if you are in your car, no matter what you're doing, we want you to be able to listen to us. So you can listen to whatever station you're on, or you can listen to dvmercy.com and click listen live. You can download the smartphone app, and all you have to do is go to your app store for that, or you can actually listen to us also on the Amazon Alexa. I love saying that because I wonder how many of them go off in people's homes when I say that. And so you might let me know. But to enable it, all you have to do is say, Alexa, enable the Divine Mercy Radio skill. And then you have to say which area you want. So you would have to say for Lindsborg or Salina, or you would have to say, Alexa, enable the Divine Mercy Radio skill KMDG for the Hayes station. After you've done that the first time, you should just be able to say, Alexa, play Divine Mercy Radio in Hayes, or Alexa, play Divine Mercy Radio in Lindsborg, Salina. And then you should be ready to go. You can also find us live on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube. And that's another good way to remind you that you can put a question into the live stream there, and we'll get it on the air. We have Lester and Donetta Robin in here with us, and that would be wonderful if you guys want to ask them some questions, because we're going to be talking about marriage. So this ought to be an awesome, awesome talk. Call in to 785-621-4110 with your pledge. You can also text that number and get us a question for these two young the young couple that's in here with us. Newlyweds, yeah. Newlyweds by a few years, but we're going to get to them in just a second here. So call 785-621-4110 for your pledge. Text that number for a question, or you can call 785-621-5061 with a question. All right. Now, we are getting ready for our first trivia question. However, I'm going to let one of them read it. Who wants to read it?
Okay.
All right. Okay. Donetta is going to read us our question. Call in at 785-621-4110. If you get it correctly, we will put your name in the drawing for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. Jerome and Angela Schmeidler are the owners there. Wonderful people. Here we go with the question.
Who is the minister of the sacrament of matrimony? The priest, the families, the husband and wife, although they're not quite husband and wife yet, or God? Who is the minister of the sacrament of matrimony? The priest, the families, the husband and wife, or God? For an answer, call 785-621-4110. And for your donations, too. You guys have been awesome this week. This has been so much fun to just listen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Donetta.
So they are... Our listeners are very generous, so thank you. So let's keep it up and reach our goal today.
Absolutely. Lester and Donetta are here with us, as I said, to talk about marriage and marriage retreats, states of marriage. There's all kinds of good stuff we're going to get into. So without further ado, and so that we don't use up all their time, Lester and Donetta will soon be married for 49 years. Way to go. That's fantastic. Yeah. At the young age of 18 and 20, they committed their lives together before God in the sacrament of marriage. Lester is a retired letter carrier for the United States Post Office. They are the founders of these radio stations, Divine Mercy Radio, where Lester serves as the president of the board of directors, and Donetta served as our past executive director and continues to serve as our secretary of the board of directors today. So thank you both for your time. Thank you for your commitment and everything you've done. And thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having us, and thank everybody out there listening, because we wouldn't be on the air without you.
No kidding.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've heard you guys talk a little bit about this marriage cruise that you went on.
Yeah.
So I wondered if first maybe we can start there, and if you guys would tell us a little bit about your cruise.
Yeah. So there's the Good News Marriage Cruise, and I'm sure our listeners have probably heard Teresa Tomeo talk about it, because she promotes it quite a bit on her radio show at 8:00 in the morning. And since I was retiring in January and the cruise was going in January, I told Lester this would be a cool thing to do. I would always wanted to go, because there's a lot of Catholic radio people that are on that cruise. There was Teresa Tomeo, Dr. Ray Grandi, Al Cresta, Father Mike Schmitz, and other greats like Archbishop Nauman was our spiritual director. And then we had this really funny MC. His name was Father Joseph Krupp. And actually, Father Krupp took
Bishop Finke's. He's in Bishop Finke's parish.
Old parish, in
Michigan. Yeah.
So. He talks about it. He says, "Man, I went to that parish and everybody loved the pastor there, and then he left to be a bishop in Kansas, and then I'm stuck there, and they all want the other guy."
Yeah. That's some pretty big shoes to fill there with Bishop Finke. Yeah.
I think he's won him over. So.
And this Father Krupp, before he became a priest, I think he was a later vocation too. He used to be a comedy writer for TV programs and things like that.
Yes.
I think he tried a little stand-up comedy stuff.
Oh my gosh,
he was great. He for the MC for the week, he was awesome.
I bet he makes for a pretty good homilist.
Yeah. He did that too. He said mass one day and had the homily.
I think he has a podcast called Joe and Black, but something like that.
Yeah.
Joe and Black.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what else did we do on the cruise?
Well, we had a lot of speakers and everything. Every day we had started the day with mass in the morning. They had confessions available every day. Then just had speakers throughout the day, and they also broadcast live programming from there, like Teresa Tomeo show and Dr. Ray and stuff. And we sat in on those. Dr. Ray actually had his wife with him and got her on the air.
Oh, I've never got to meet her.
Oh my gosh.
As Randy is her name?
Yes. Yeah. And everybody was like, he'd get up there to do his show and everyone was going, Randy. They wanted him out and her in. And she's very, what do I say? A little more shy.
Yeah. Well, that's because he just does all the talking, but she held her own. She did well.
She did.
And we had some time with them alone one day. We were waiting for dinner that evening, and we were sitting in another little I don't know, pub or restaurant, whatever, and probably sat there a half hour and just had a nice chat with them. They're really nice, down to earth people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite shows. And so
Yeah.
There were 840 couples.
840 people.
Oh, 40 people. That's right.
420 couples, all Catholic couples. Everybody,
Wow.
we all had name tags to wear. So wherever you went, everybody had their, like if we went to eat somewhere on the ship, whatever, or anywhere, what activity or anything, you'd always run into people with their tags on and say, "Hey, can I sit with you? You got room there?" Yeah. Boy, everybody was just friendly. And we ran
that's
into
awesome.
quite a few people from Kansas that we
Really?
knew. Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys basically just took over the ship.
Well, there were, I think, 5,000 guests they said on the ship,
okay.
and we had 840. So we had a pretty good
You had a good chunk of them.
chunk of them. Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to break in really quickly to congratulate Karen Beaker. She is our trivia winner. Congratulations, Karen. We will get you put in that drawing, and also to thank her for her pledge of $250. Way to start us off this morning, Karen. That is fantastic. Help us to break over into that next section. Help us to get toward that goal of $125,000 today. 785-621-4110. Call that number for your pledge. 785-621-4110. Oh, as I'm speaking, we have another one pop up here. Mike and Christine Weber of Hayes donated $250. As I said yesterday, it's so wonderful to be able to do this because I see all these people and I'm like, oh, great people. Oh, great people. I'm like, well, yeah, it's because we got wonderful donors out there. You guys support us so well. This is awesome. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mike and Christine, for your donation of $250. Let's keep it going. 785-621-4110. And let's get back to Lester and Donetta about marriages, retreats, and talking about their cruise that they were on.
Yeah, you want to talk about watching the game?
Oh, yeah. While we were on, that was the weekend that the Chiefs played the Ravens for the AFC Championship. And, of course, up on the upper deck where the pool is, they have a big screen. And we thought, well, we'll go up there and watch it. Well, every seat in the place was taken. You know, they had towels. Everybody was saving a seat and stuff. So down on the middle deck, it was like a sports bar, basically. That was the only other place on the ship where they were going to be showing the game. So we went like 2.5, 3 hours early to get a seat.
We didn't want to miss our Chiefs game.
We didn't want to miss the Chiefs. Anyway, and it's kind of an open air thing. And we're people are walking down the center aisle there, the big hallway. And I noticed a couple of people wearing Chiefs shirts. So I yelled, "Go Chiefs." And they came in, and they were from Topeka, Kansas. He was a deacon. It was Deacon Bob, somebody, I don't remember what his last name was. And pretty soon another couple goes walking by with Chiefs shirts on, and we yell at them, and they come in. They were from Olathe.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and then we had another couple come in. They were out of state, but just Chiefs fans. They joined us. And then Archbishop Naumann goes walking by, so I yell at him, and he comes in, and he sat there and watched the whole game with us and just had a great time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was
That is great.
Yeah, he's quite the guy. He knows his Chiefs, but he lives down there, so he probably should.
I suppose so.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was great. Yeah.
Fantastic. Was there anything else, Donetta, that you
Well,
guys
I
did?
just wanted to say that most of the couples that went on the cruise were middle-aged to older couples like us, but there was a honeymoon couple on there.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
They were
okay.
spending their honeymoon to get their marriage started right.
Wow, that is beautiful.
I know, and
Yeah.
another young couple there too, and that was great to see.
A couple of our listeners that were there was Santos and Marlene Bonilla from Salina.
From Salina.
And actually, we had dinner with them every night. So
Oh,
that was kind of neat.
wonderful.
We had that kind of pre-planned. And we ran into Waits.
Mary and Mel Wade from Ellenwood, I believe.
Yeah, they were there. So it was kind of neat. We ran into a few people.
That is awesome.
From our listening area, yeah.
Now, where did your cruise go to?
Well,
or did you just kind
we
of
flew to Florida and got on, and we went to our first stop was Haiti, which is a place you don't want to go now, but the place where we were at, it was in a safe place. It was just kind of a little resort area there and then we went to the Dominican Republic, and then we went to an island called Coco Cay Island, which is actually owned by the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. And it's basically a water park. It's just really small island, but beautiful, white sand beaches and stuff. And it was neat. We just spent a day there. And I mean, I guess if you're going to go in January, you want to go south where it's warm. But we're not real beach goers. We don't lay on the beach too much, but there were a few other things to do, some shopping and, so it was fun.
Nice. Now, what is, obviously you said it's a marriage cruise, but what's the purpose of it? Is it just to strengthen your marriage, things like that?
That's what I would like to, like those of us committed to the marriage covenant, they just really pumped us up. The talks about we need to be an example to the world.
I agree. We do it. And
because
we've
marriage
always,
is falling apart and people aren't even getting married
Yeah.
anymore. And so those of us that are married, we need to be examples. So they really pumped us up about that.
Yeah, that's something we already did. I mean, we've always tried to be an example, especially for our kids and grandkids and stuff, you know, just to show a little affection, hold hands and things like that. I mean, we would do that. We're not doing it to put on a show, but I mean, we do it anyways. But young people need to see that love can last a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
Marriage can last a lifetime.
Yeah.
But you have to be committed. I mean, when you say your vows, you better mean every word of it. It's not a 50-50 deal. It's 100% both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then something Father Mike Schmitz said that
Father Mike Schmitz was there too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I wish I would have made this.
Oh, yeah. Every time we come together, which I didn't really think about, and you probably know because you do a lot of marriage prep, but every time we come together, in our intimacy and marriage, it's like we're renewing our marriage vows.
Yeah.
And I guess I never really thought of it like that, but
it really is.
I thought that was really cool how he said that.
Absolutely.
Just about all of the talks were, well, they were definitely around marriage and family and stuff, but they really pushed that it's a covenant. It's not a contract. It's a vow, a vow before God. And
I like to say sacrament, because when God blesses it, when the graces need to flow in your marriage, they do.
Oh, yeah.
And they will. And I'm sure you are very well aware that there are times where you call on God, man, I need your help here, for understanding or whatever. Usually
I've been acting like a dummy for a while. Lord, help me.
Yeah, that's right. We've all been there.
I've always been amazed too, though, as you were speaking, it really made me think about one of the things that I see a big tie between are healthy couples in marriages and healthy reception of the Eucharist. Because, as you were talking about, intimacy within it, if you understand it as that act that is, recommitting yourself like you did the first time. Well, when we go to receive the Eucharist, if we understand that as the culmination of our relationship with our Lord, then hopefully we're not treating it just willy-nilly, and so that just really kind of sparked that in me, that I think that if we had stronger marriages, we would have a stronger devotion to the Eucharist also.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to talk about 3 and 4?
About Father Mike, we didn't really actually renew our marriage vows, we did, but
he said we can't.
Yeah, we can't. You do that once, but but we kind of went through them a little bit and talked about them, and so
you
it
had
was
us look at each other and hold hands and make a recommitment type of thing.
My wife would hate that.
Oh,
it was touching. I'll tell you,
we were both bald.
We were both in tears. It was so touching. It was great. It was very moving. Yeah, we came away feeling like we were newlyweds again. I mean, it's like, wow. But when we go to weddings, and there aren't that many, like it used years ago when we were growing up, there were weddings every other weekend. We came from big families and stuff, and there aren't that many anymore that we attend. But every time I go to a wedding and they're reciting the vows, it's like I'm recommitting myself too. It's really, it just is a reminder, take me back to that day.
And this whole thing made us talk about on the way home that it would be okay. Bill Mayer, if you're listening, listen up.
Oh, he's coming up. He's coming in next.
Okay. What we would like to see our diocese do is maybe every other year. I know it would be too much to ask for every year, but maybe have some type of marriage conference that those who are in marriage, no matter what stage they're in, it kind of just pumps them up and renews them to keep working at their marriage, because it's work. It's work. No matter which vocation you choose, you're going to have to work at that vocation. So
absolutely.
So Bill, if you need any help, I can help.
I mean, it's a great idea because we have men's conference,
that.
And that's great for men to, it pumps the men up about being a good husband and father, and and marriage is the same way. I mean, it would be great to have some
bring in a Father Mike Schmitz.
bring in a speaker and stuff, and
I've tried to
And
get
I
him
think you
here.
could draw a big crowd.
Have you?
Yeah, Father Mike Schmitz doesn't travel much because he is the what do you call him? The spiritual director of which campus is it that he's on? And so yeah, he doesn't travel a whole lot.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
well, we
Yeah,
just
but-
said that, you know, going on the Good News Marriage Cruise was great and wonderful, but not everybody can afford it, and we couldn't afford it every year, you know. So, you know, maybe something a little more affordable for
Yeah.
people is what we were thinking.
Well, that would be wonderful. Let me break in here really
Okay.
quickly and we'll hold that thought. I want to remind people that we are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We do have that goal of $125,000 that we want to get to by the end of today. We already started off well with Karen Beaker and Mike and Christine Weber donating this morning. They each donated $250. Way to get us rolling. Let's keep that ball going. Let's keep it bringing in those funds we need to keep these radio stations on the air. We're talking with Lester and Donetta Robin, and they are the ones who brought these stations together. Obviously, we know that this was Christ's will, and we don't know where it's going to go in the future, but we do know that we can't do it without you. So if you're getting kids ready this morning, taking them to school, driving down the interstate, whatever you are, first, if you're driving, pull over before you don't call and get in a wreck or anything. It's okay. Things can wait. But call us at some point, 785-621-4110 with your donations, 785-621-4110. And let's keep putting the truth of Christ out there on the radio waves. We are going to get back to Lester and Donetta talking about marriage. And Donetta, you already kind of hinted at it a little bit about these different stages within marriage. I really didn't. I mean, I've heard of the honeymoon phase before, but I didn't know all of these phases. And so maybe we could start breaking into those.
I don't know if they're actually official phases, but I was reading some things about phases, and then we kind of came up with our own. So the honeymoon phase was pretty much.
Yeah, everybody
Across
knows
the
that
board.
one.
That's a given for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to say about this honeymoon phase, you know, my advice to young people is don't ruin this stage by living together. Don't ruin, because you ruin it by living together.
Absolutely.
You really do. You know, so, you know, couples who it is, I try to tell my grandkids too, the older ones, it is so much fun. I mean, there's something in that waiting, like you're longing for one another. There's something there. So that day finally comes. And it isn't all about the wedding anymore. It's about your life, you know. So we've been at some weddings where people will say, you know, what do we do next? Or, geez, the day's over and we planned so much for it. And it's like, no,
Those
this
were
is when it
people.
begins.
Yeah, we were kind of shocked that it was some relation that we've gone to their weddings and they'd been living together for several years, whatever. And at the end of the night, you know, they're still hanging around. Usually back in our day, but we're older, the wedding couple, the married couple would leave early. They wouldn't stay till the end. They would slip out during the night and go, you know, do their thing. But nowadays, the ones that have been living together already, they stay till the very end of the party. And then they say, okay, where do we go next? What's next? It's like, come on, you guys.
We kind of knew what to do
Yeah,
next.
we knew what was
Yeah.
next.
And then I really am very thankful. Our daughter married, you know, Travis Unrein, and the Unreins are a very good Catholic family.
Yeah.
So we were thankful. So Travis was living, when they started dating seriously, he was living with 2 or 3 other guys, and they both realized that his apartment could be a place of temptation. So he called his parents and asked him to move home.
Oh, wow. That is
Yeah,
awesome.
and they allowed him, and that, you know, that was great.
Yeah.
And, so it relieved him of that temptation there, you
testament.
know.
I know.
But it was neat that they were aware enough of their own feelings and that, you know,
And those
what
feelings
it
are
could lead to.
normal and good.
Yeah, they're normal. Yeah, yeah. But there is a time and a place for it, and they knew that, and they wanted to save it for marriage, you know, for that
Yeah.
night.
Absolutely.
So they knew where to go and what to do.
Do you have to break in?
No, I was going to say that I'm going to try to look this up. But Bill, who's coming in next, would be able to answer this. There is a new book out. Him and I used to teach a lot of this to the kids at TMP, you know, and teach them, you know, like living together before marriage is going to be detrimental. But there's a new book that has come out, and I don't remember the name of it. I'll try to get that information to everybody. And it talks exactly about this. And if it's my understanding, it has nothing to do with theology, morality, or anything. It's just a guy went and did all the homework to find out and is bringing just natural statistics, and it's
like
as we've been
50% of
saying,
them end up in divorce.
yes,
Yeah,
as we've
heard
been
that
teaching
too.
for years,
Uh-huh.
it's so detrimental
It
to your
is,
marriage. But he has all the numbers behind it now.
to back it up.
Yeah, and so I'll try to find that out at some
Uh-huh.
point and see if I can pass it on. If not, contact Bill Mayer. He knows it.
Yeah.
So,
Anyways, you were going to tell the story about Leslie and Travis and their wedding night.
Yeah. As their wedding was coming closer together, they both came to us one time and said, "Do we have to stay till the end of our wedding?"
Oh,
No.
it was that day, the
That
wedding,
night.
that evening. Yeah. As
And
the
I
dance
said,
was
"No,
going on.
actually, your parents are the host of the party. If you guys want to slip out." So they decided at 11 o'clock they were going to slip out. And, when it was 11 o'clock, Leslie had asked me to save a bottle of champagne for them. And so she had a bottle of champagne, and I washed up their champagne glasses, their toasting glasses. And she was standing there with that champagne and those two toasting glasses, and her groom saw her across the hall.
Her husband now, her new husband.
Whoops. And out the door they went, and they didn't have to ask what to do next. I don't
what do we
think.
do next?
As a matter of fact, she told me not to call her for next week.
Well, they went on a honeymoon.
Yeah, I know. Mom, do not call me on my honeymoon.
that's okay.
But that's the way it should be.
Right.
It should be. You should have.
And one more thing about the honeymoon stage is that it's a time to get to know each other, and everything that's wonderful and new. Everything's just wonderful and new with each other, and you realize what you can and cannot do. Because I got a little funny here. We were living in a basement apartment when we were first married. I was doing the dishes, and Lester blew up. I don't know, was it a paper
it was just
bag?
a paper bag. Yeah.
Yeah, and he go ahead.
Anyways, I walked up behind her and popped the bag.
No, my wife would kill me.
Yeah, I think she started crying. She's so freaked out and scared. I had no idea that she was scared that easily. You can't scare her. You can't pop out from behind a door or anything.
My wife too.
And I'm kind of a jokester, so it's like, oh, I learned my lesson. Sorry, dear. Yeah.
I didn't know our marriages were so alike. That's me too. I've warned my kids, don't scare mom. Just don't do it.
But the whole idea of the honeymoon phase is it promotes bonding and trust building, and it sets the stage for what your life will be like. So don't blow it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Anything
think
else on the honeymoon phase?
Just with the popping the bag thing, I think humor is very important in a marriage. I mean, people need to laugh every day, and we have to be able to laugh at ourselves. I mean, we all make mistakes, do stupid things, you know, and you just have to laugh at yourself and say, I'm sorry when you mess up, admit it.
All right. So we go from that good honeymoon phase to what next?
The reality phase.
The reality.
The honeymoon feeling is over, and you're kind of wondering what happened to that feeling, because oftentimes children start to arrive, and the world does not settle around your own needs anymore. It settles around other things. There's sleep deprivation and sometimes being overworked. So can you relate with 7 children?
Slightly, but you just said something that's so important for people to understand. Marriage and children ought to make you less selfish.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
If you do it right.
You're doing it wrong if you're still selfish. I mean, you've got the kids and your spouse has to come first, even before yourself. I mean, I always try to put her first and think, how would she feel and whatever,
Yeah, it's, in fact, it is those times when I don't, I find, well, you were the cause of that argument. So, I got to do a little gut check there quite often. Okay, reality phase. Let me break in here really quickly, and we'll get straight back to it. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We're talking with Lester and Donetta Robin about marriage and all kinds of wonderful stages that we see within marriage, how to navigate through them, how to live together with one another and to treat each other first and be less selfish. As we get ready to get back to that, though, I want to get to our 7:30 question. And so here is our 7:30 question. I'm going to let Lester read this one.
All right.
The number to call is 785-621-4110. And if you get this right, we will put you in a drawing for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. All right, here is our question.
Which of these saints was not married? Saint Faustina, Saint Monica, Saint Peter the Apostle, Saint Thomas More. One more time. Which of these saints was not married? St. Faustina, St. Monica, St. Peter the Apostle, or St. Thomas More.
785-621-4110 for your guest, for your pledge, or both. 785-621-4110. All right. We get to get back here. We're having a wonderful discussion with Lester and Donetta, these different stages of marriage. So we've been through the honeymoon phase. We're getting into the reality phase. Where do we go with this reality phase?
I think with the reality phase, I mean, when you start getting into everyday life and living and raising a family and all that, one thing the couple needs to do is stay committed to each other. And you have to try to keep the honeymoon phase alive a little bit. I mean, just by spending time together. I mean,
to connect each
to connect
day.
every day. You got to keep the communication is so important.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, or I mean, just, you need maybe put the kids to bed by 9 o'clock or whatever. And then so you have some time alone. And because we've known so many couples that after they raise their kids, they end up getting divorced because the kids, that has been the whole center of their life. And it is to a degree, but our mindset was always all along the way, raising our kids. We knew someday they're going to get out on their own and we're going to be by ourselves again. So we always stayed connected. And, you know, I guess it's just the love just never faded or whatever. It was always there. And we worked at keeping that alive, you know, but it takes a little work to do that and some planning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to be creative. You know, like with a date night, and a date night does not have to cost money. I mean,
no,
you can put on, you know, feed the kids earlier and put on a movie for them, or, you know, and then go off and into another room and have your private little dinner. And we knew a couple who did this, but their children were, you know, I think over the age of 5 by this, and they'd come up the stairs and they'd say, so-and-so hit me and so-and-so hit me. And so they started to say, you can't come up the steps unless one of you is dying.
I think we've said something like that before.
We thought it was funny, but they were working at keeping their marriage alive. And it was just one night a week. And they would get something from the deli at a local grocery store. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money to have date night.
Correct.
Or we tried to create family time, like on Sundays we would go bike riding or to the park or things. It doesn't have to cost, but just have that connection as a family then too, which keeps you connected.
Absolutely. You know, and something good for all of us listening to you guys talk also is, you know, my in-laws have done this before. They've come to us before and said, my mother-in-law, if you know her, she's pretty good at let me know what I need to do sometimes. She's a great lady, but this is in a great way. I love you, Teresa. She has come to us before and said, you guys are going on a date. You know, like,
we're gonna take the kids,
you know, and even gotten us a gift card or something like that. And my wife and I, we're not great daters, but that's part of the marriage thing. And so that's something, like I said, good for the rest of us is if you know a good young couple, you know, or if these are your children that are getting into marriage and stuff, like do that for them once in a while, you know, send them a gift card. You can even do it anonymous and say, hey, this is a date night. You have to take your spouse out with this. You don't get to take your kids, you know, or go and say, we're watching the kids. Go out for an hour or two. Come back when you're ready. My wife and always came back early, but
and then while you're out, all you talk about is the kids.
Sometimes.
That's right. Sometimes we said, what did we talk about before we had kids? But then our kids grew up and we still find things to talk about.
Yeah, we're doing fine.
It works fine.
Okay, so.
You evolve with your marriage, I guess.
I think so too. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on our reality phase there?
No.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think we pretty well covered what
Let me then go ahead and congratulate Michelle Dunnigan, who is our trivia winner. So the question there was
who was not married?
Yeah. Did we not get a? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Karen Beaker was the first one. This one was which of the saints was not married? And it was Saint Faustina. Very good. Okay. Thank you, Lester, for keeping me in line there. See, and that's why I need a wife too.
Don't call me your wife.
785-621-4110. Man, we could talk all day long. 785-621-4110 for your pledge. Help us to get to that goal of $125,000 today. We are in speaking with Lester and Donetta Robin about marriage. We're going through a list they have of these different phases within marriage. We've talked about the honeymoon phase, the reality phase, phase. And now I think we're going to get into the change phase. So if you guys would
Yeah.
tell me, what is the change phase about?
Is my spouse ever going to change?
Yeah.
I'm trying, honey.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Oh, I thought she would grow up.
and we all think that sometimes. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, guys, let's
Yeah.
I
just be
know.
real, you know.
Yeah.
So I read a book recently. It's called Love and Respect by a psychologist, Dr. Emerson Edgerich, I think is how you pronounce his name. It was a book recommended by Father Mike Schmitz, and so I thought I'd pick it up. But what he says is that what men really desire from women is respect.
Mhm.
But what women are really desiring from men is love. And somehow when we fail to respect our spouse, they fail to love us, and vice versa. It's like a cycle that keeps going if we get into this spinning cycle and we're not respecting and loving. So it just was interesting in understanding that. He gave an example of, can I get that example? Should I get that example of that husband who was on a business trip for a week?
Yeah.
He was on a business trip for a week, and this is in his book. And he anxiously arrives home early, and he's so anxious to see his family. And so he's envisioning a romantic evening, right? Okay.
Wife running up
Yeah.
to him and hugging him and kissing him. Oh, welcome home.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
I take it that didn't happen.
But this is what happens when he walks in the door. His wife greets him with, "Oh, you're home so early. Well, since you're here,
Oh, man. Yeah.
I need you to pick up the kids from school. And don't forget about that parent-teacher conference this evening. And I need to talk to you about Billy. The teacher said he's been showing off and distracting his friends. And by the way, supper will be late as my sister is stopping by for coffee."
Yeah.
There goes that plan.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to
I
say,
think I'll go back to work.
when they go to bed that night, he kind of rolls over and rubs his wife's back. And she groans and says, "Don't, I'm too tired."
Lester's about to choke over here.
Oh, yeah.
He turns over
Can
without
relate to
saying
that.
He turns over without saying a word, but he says, "You're so insensitive," and it causes a huge fight. So coming home from his business trip didn't work out like he wanted. So Dr. Emerson says we just need to crack the communication code and see what each one needs in order to help each other.
You know, as you've said that, well, first let me, I got to break in. Sorry, because this is such a great conversation.
Yes, that's good.
But Michelle Dunnigan also pledged $250. So she was our trivia winner, but she also pledged $250. And I want to recognize that because no matter what someone gives, that is how we stay on the air. And if you like having these wonderful discussions, listening to these wonderful discussions, we also have such a great lineup of shows that we normally play, even a couple of our own. And so please help us to stay on the air. This is how we counter our culture who does not like to hear the truth, doesn't want the truth, doesn't want to live by it, but Christ is the truth. And we know it. We want to keep that going. 785-621-4110. All right. So Donetta, as you were speaking there, it reminded me that all of us has to learn how to sacrifice for the other. You know, everybody probably knows about the 5 love languages, and we don't have to go through all those. But the importance of that is once you know your spouses, then you know how to build them up. And it's important to not use your own as, well, you never speak mine. You know, I've done that before. And that usually doesn't end up well. So that as you were speaking, that just reminded me of that is we have to know how to sacrifice for each other so that we can build one another up together.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think one great thing for married couples is a marriage encounter. I don't know if you've ever been on it. Her parents had gone, well, they've been gone for several years. I mean, past, but they had gone to a marriage encounter weekend when they were quite a bit older, and they just loved it. And when they came home, they called all of her brothers and sisters, all the kids, and said, "I want you to go to that." And so
you need to do it while you're raising kids.
While you're raising kids,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So we did. She was the one that was pushing. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. I finally gave in, broke down. And then when it came right down to the time to go, then she was the one that wanted to back out.
Oh, really?
But we went, and it was a wonderful weekend. I mean, and this is for couples that have good marriages and want it to be better. So, and it really teaches you how to communicate again,
Yeah.
rekindles that love. You go back to, why did you fall in love in the first place?
Mhm.
And it's just a great weekend. I would recommend it for any married couple. It really helped us. And I think we came home and even our kids noticed a difference in us and stuff.
I wanted to go to Marriage Encounter because I wanted him to see everything he was doing wrong. I am serious. That's part of the change phase,
Kind of
right?
like when you walk into the confessional with, well, this is what my husband does.
But what I came away with was everything that I was doing that was hurting the marriage.
Oh, wow.
That's what I came away with.
Yeah. Well, we both had to do that. You had to, reach deep into your soul and, analyze your marriage and how you were treating each other and everything. So it was a very good weekend. I would definitely recommend it.
That is good because, as you said, it's not for and
no, it's not Retrovi. I mean, the
Yeah.
diocese has Retrovi for struggling couples, but
and it wasn't,
and it's a gift to each other, really, to go to a marriage encounter. I would highly recommend it.
Do we still have it in our diocese?
I have no idea. I guess we could ask Bill.
Yeah, he should know. If not, he needs to rekindle that, get that going again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So got to the change phase. Now, this is something you already, or did you have something more to say on that?
Well, part of the change phase, I think, too, is when I read Christopher, or somebody in one day, somebody gave me a set. I was going to start Rachel's Vineyard, right? So I was going to meet with somebody in Salina about it who wanted to talk to me about it. And then I was going on to Wichita to meet with their retreat facilitator to talk about it. I went to Salina, and the person I talked to, he was an Orthodox priest. And he said, I want you to listen to these. And they were Christopher West's Theology of the Body.
Yeah.
And then I went to Wichita, and the lady at the facilitator said, I want you to listen to these. And she gave me Theology of the Body. 2 sets of Christopher West tape in one day. It's like, okay, God, I'm getting it. I need to listen to these.
Spiritual 2x4.
Right.
To these things. And when I realized why we were made for each other and why marriage was created by God, what God actually wanted, it was like, my husband's the Christ in my home. What? But then I thought, I love to entertain. And if Christ was coming to my home, I'd lay out the red carpet. And here I'm complaining about cleaning the toilet or cleaning the house, and it's like, I'm doing it for Christ, and so it gave me a different attitude. And when I started to change my attitude without even telling him.
Yeah, I just thought, well, who is this woman? No, but I recognize that she never said it, to brag on herself or anything. Say, I'm trying this, you need to do that. She just started treating me with much more respect and stuff. And and I recognized it. And I, in turn, just naturally did the same thing, treated her
I think
much
it
better.
was another turning point, I guess.
Yeah.
In our change my spouse stage.
Yeah. It was God was intervening, I think. And
that's why I say the sacrament kicked in when it needed to.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys have hit on something, though, too, that a lot of times we wait for the other person to change before we do something. Whereas if you just start changing, there's going to be a natural notice of that. And then Lester, like you said, it's just natural whether we like it or not, if someone treats us well, we naturally just kind of treat them better.
Exactly.
And so, for one of us, whoever in our marriage is the first one to start going, you know what? Not because I want something in return, but just because I want a good marriage, I'm going to start respecting them even more and doing this for them. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
You'll watch that flow. Wow.
I think another thing that helped me was when I went to Mark Men for Christ. I came back definitely changed.
Yeah.
God was much more important, my faith and everything, and my marriage and everything. It was. I tell it this way: the first time I'd gone several times, but the first time I went out, we had, I think, about 12 guys in a bus, and we're heading out to Colorado. And on the way out, we're driving and we're talking about football and NASCAR and all this stuff. And on the way back, we're talking about our feelings, our families. And I was in the front seat. I wasn't driving, but I was in the front seat with the other guy. And I turned around and says, who are you guys? Where did we pick you up? They aren't the guys we went out with. But that really changed me too. And in turn, I think she noticed the difference too when I came home.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Well, as much as I'd love to stay
on
making jokes and stuff, we've got to get to our next empty nest phase because we got about 15 minutes left here.
Yes. the children leave home stage is what we call it. This is hard, and it's harder on the female probably than the male for some reason. You're spending 20, 30 years, depending on how many children you have. Your lives revolve around your children and their activities. And at that time, when Leslie left home, she was the last one to leave home. The phone was still on the wall.
Yeah.
We didn't have cell phones yet,
Yeah.
and it's like all the activity just stopped. The phone quit ringing, people quit coming by, and it just stopped. It was silent all of a sudden, and it was difficult. I cried all the time.
She had a hard time. I kind of enjoyed the quiet, to tell the truth.
Then Leslie would call me and say, "Mom, how are you doing today?" And so I always say she was a therapist back then.
Yeah, before she even actually became one. Exactly. Yeah.
When that happens for me, I'm going to call you, Lester, and take up golf. So
Yeah, there you
get
go.
ready for that.
Yeah.
So it's another phase, and you said so many people are divorcing at that age.
Yeah. I had a couple of friends that as soon as the last kid moved out of the house, they got divorced. And it's sad, but it's like we said earlier. You need to keep that alive, and as you're raising kids, you have to keep it in your mind that we're going to be stuck together again. At the end,
Yeah.
it's going to be the two of us. So you need to keep that bond, that the friendship, the love, everything, the fun. Keep the fun alive.
Yeah.
In your
And one
marriage.
of the things they said when I was looking up the stats on this, on empty nesters divorce, their reason, they say, is they simply grew apart. So
Yeah.
That's where you have to stay connected. You have
Yeah.
to have your date nights and things like that.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
been there yet, but I agree with you,
Yeah.
Lester. I've seen some of the statistics and things on that,
Uh-huh.
and that's exactly what they say is you get so used to living just for the children that, when they're gone, you look at each other and you go, I don't know you anymore.
Uh-huh.
And so people are just like, rather than dealing with that difficulty, they're just, I'm
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and that's very sad. So
Yeah, that's where your
So-
mother-in-law is trying to keep yours alive. And here, go take your wife out. Keep the flame a burning.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
and how to get through this stage is you have to create a new normal, is what I would say.
Oh, definitely.
We started like every Saturday when he would get off work, and I took up golf in high school when Josh was in high school because I was losing my connection with him. So I wanted to connect with him. So I took up golf, and he now tells me it was better when I just didn't play with him.
At least you were trying.
But I was trying to keep my connection with you. So,
Mhm.
so then when he'd get off work on Saturdays, we would go golf and then out to eat. And a lot of times we would sit on the patio and drink a glass of wine or a beer. Like he likes beer, I like wine. And just talk without TV, without other things, so just to kind of reconnect and create a new normal for yourselves.
And after the kids moved out too, we got more involved in different ministries and things like that. So, and we did it together. So that kept us connected too, and give us a purpose and and that was a bonding time too, just going through those things together.
Yeah. At the Mary Elizabeth home, he was kind of the
handyman,
free
whatever.
handyman.
Yeah.
So don't make things just to make yourself busy, but do
Right.
things.
Yeah, together.
You're doing things together. He got involved when I wanted to start Rachel's Vineyard. He got involved with it, and then Catholic radio. He thought I was nuts, but then he got involved with it.
She drags me into more stuff, this lady here.
That kept you plenty busy.
Yeah.
So
hopefully I'm checking my ticket or punching my ticket to get to heaven here.
I don't know. I don't know if it works that way, but it's all bringing more people to Christ. And like now, I feel like maybe we're supposed to promote marriage. So
that is awesome.
We've got some experience behind us now.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
A few years. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your wisdom. We really appreciate that. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We are talking with Lester and Donetta Robin about marriage. This has been such a wonderful talk. And so thank you guys for listening. Thank you for donating and keeping us on the air. We are completely listener funded. We have 5 stations. We have a wonderful board who does everything they can to make sure that every penny is looked after, every penny is spent well. Call to 785-621-4110, 785-621-4110. We have here about 9 minutes left. I wish we had another hour with you guys. But we've got another phase yet to get to. And I think that is the fulfillment phase, correct?
Right.
That's
That's
right,
what we
yeah.
call it.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you've reached this stage, I say congratulations.
Yeah.
Your relationship's probably in very good hands.
Yeah, pretty
You're gonna
solid
last
ground.
till the end here.
Yeah, the
yeah.
retirement's usually on the horizon, and retirement does not have to be difficult. So
Yeah, I retired back in 2015, so I've been retired 9 years already. And when I retired, I decided that every Friday we used to clean house together. So I decided I'll clean the whole house on Friday. So when she gets off work, then we have time, and we would usually, a lot of times, we would go to a movie and go out to eat. So that was our date night.
That's
It freed
great.
up an evening for us instead of cleaning house. So
I love it. That's wonderful.
or basketball games.
yeah, the grandkids in basketball and
Yeah.
do other activities and things like that. But we try to keep active and spend time together, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So now our days revolve around doctor's appointments.
Oh, yeah, we turned into our parents.
It's official. Huh?
It's
Do we have time to briefly talk about the Duck Dynasty show?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. We've got 8 minutes left.
Okay. The Duck Dynasty show, we listened, Phil Robertson, he was an alcoholic, and Miss Kay, when she fell in love with him, her mother says, someday you're going to have to fight for your marriage.
And she
Yeah.
thought, oh no, everything's perfect. We love each other. Everything's going to be fine.
No.
Well, she had to fight for her marriage because he ended up running a bar, which isn't a good thing for someone who likes to drink.
Yeah.
So he had lots of issues, and then he
Affairs.
had an affair, and actually had a child out of wedlock that he didn't know about until she was probably 30, 40 years old, And so Miss Kay says, my mom was right. I had to fight for my marriage. And everybody does to a point, at some point along the way, because there are times you might hate your spouse at that very moment, where you don't say hate's kind of hard, but I'm not really so much in love right now, and you have to stick it through those times and work through. That's where God is really important in your marriage. You need to get God into your life. And with the Robertsons, I mean, they are very faithful. And I don't know if you've ever seen their show.
Yeah. We've watched it quite a bit.
It's kind of faith-based at the
I
end.
like
They always, family is very important
She
to them.
she says on the movie that's about their life, she says, in the beginning, it's all about, sex. She goes, and now it's like, do you want some popcorn and some root beer?
Yeah. Life changes.
We just cracked up because they're so funny and real.
They're real. I mean, yeah.
Well, what other advice can you guys leave us with as you guys are in this fulfillment phase, retirement, looking at everything you guys have been through, everything you've worked through, even all the strengthening things you've done for your marriage. You guys have a lot of great knowledge to pass on to us younger generation so that we can make it to where you're at someday. What can you guys leave us with here in the next 5 minutes?
Well, I would say admit when you're wrong. And that took a while for me to get to that point where now it's a lot easier to do. But in the beginning, it's like, if you make a mistake and you're wrong, it's not that I don't know what I want to say, you're a total failure or anything.
Yeah.
You just made a mistake. We're all human.
Yeah.
So when you make a mistake, admit it and just say, I'm sorry.
And
It's not that big of words, but they're pretty tough to say sometimes.
Yeah.
We add a little humor to that.
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. We do. You say, I'm out. You what?
What?
I was wrong. You were wrong.
And then we're laughing at each other, and it just, it all goes away.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
My wife and I live on a lot of humor also. So yes.
Humor is very important. That's for sure.
And then
Forgive, I guess, which we just said. That's what we do, and say, I'm sorry, and I forgive you, and thank you. I love you.
Yeah.
Don't give up on your marriage. Fight for it, like Miss Kay said.
Yeah.
Fight for it.
Exactly.
If one of you's going astray, the other person needs to stay true and just stay in the game and fight for the marriage. And we'll talk
when
about
we got married too, I mean, we always said the D word is not in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
Divorce is not an option.
Correct.
When we said I do till death do it parts, we meant it, you know.
Mhm.
So we're going to work through whatever it is.
Yeah.
And everybody does have those.
Lester set fighting rules, and it wasn't fun.
I actually use that sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, same thing. D word's not, you know,
That's
so
not an option.
we
That's
use it
not
as
an
a
option.
joke sometimes,
Yeah,
as like, oh no, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Not that we ever talk about it that way, but yeah, we're
Yeah.
just
Uh-huh.
no, you're in it for the long haul, honey.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say just be considerate of each other. And it could just be little things. I mean, if you're in the kitchen, whatever, and your wife's over watching TV or whatever, say, hey, I'm getting something to drink. You want something, you know, or whatever. Just help each other out.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe as you get older, we're just trying to save steps. I don't know. But
Or maybe that glass of wine will lead to something else.
oh, yeah. You never know.
Like her going to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Relaxing. Yeah. Yeah.
And laugh.
Yes,
Well, we say
absolutely.
laugh.
Yeah. Laughter is very important.
We have two final ones that are very important, we think.
Okay.
Keep God as the center of your marriage.
How do people do it without that? I don't get it.
I don't know either.
And
I guess those are the
pray.
ones that divorce.
And
yeah.
if you can pray together, and I would suggest you try this before you get married,
Yep.
because if you can pray together, you're already, that's more intimate than sexual relations. And there's just something about prayer. And if you have God in your marriage and prayer, I don't know. The sacrament will kick in when it needs to. That's we even put sacrament. We were going through picking out our tombstone, and a lot of people say married at this date, married at that date. And I told Lester, I want sacrament on our tombstone because if it wasn't for God, it might not have worked.
So we have sacrament on our
Yeah,
tombstone, sacrament
united
on our-
in the sacrament of marriage on what date?
You are so right, though. All the couples I work with in marriage prep, that's one of the questions I ask them is, do you pray together? And a lot of them look at each other, and I know the answer a lot of times, and they look at each other real sheepishly and look at me, and I said, it's okay. This isn't a pass or fail
It's
thing.
awkward at first.
It is awkward at first. And that's what I tell them. I said,
Yeah.
I get it. It is kind of awkward the first time hey, you want to pray? It's even more awkward sometimes than asking for intimacy.
That's
You know?
exactly that's
Yeah.
what we've said.
Yeah. This
If you
morning
can
before
do
we came
that-
in, we prayed together that the Holy Spirit would be with us today and put the words in our mouth that He wants to be spoken.
Yeah. So
So-
I appreciate you bringing that up because, yes, I ask every couple, and there's a lot of them that are like, and so that's what I tell them is start praying together. As awkward as it is, just start.
And one of the ways to start is you can use a formal prayer if you don't know what else to say, but like, what's going on in that person's life tomorrow? Do they have a presentation at work or a test at school? You know, just say, you know, I hope so and so does good for her test, or you know, just whatever's going on in your life. Or if you don't
Absolutely.
have
Just
anything else,
give it to
give
God.
it a
Ask for
Hail
God's
Mary
help.
or
Yeah.
a Glory Be,
Yeah.
but just start somewhere.
Well,
and
I
it'll
know
work.
it's about
Yeah,
top of
it's
the
about
hour,
time.
so it's probably time for us to get out of here.
Yes,
Thank you.
but I wanted to thank you first
Yeah.
because this was such a wonderful discussion, and thank you for your knowledge, your wisdom, and your example to a beautiful marriage that does help the rest of us in this world where marriage is a dying art, we might say. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Yeah.
very much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything you guys have done for this station.
Well, thank you for
Well-
coming in and doing this, Cody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
You have a
praise
gift.
God.
Absolutely.
Praise
Have a
God.
wonderful day.
Hallelujah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. I want to thank Dave and Janet Schmidt, who own Dave's Auto Repair. They gave $2,000 for matching funds. Thank you so very much, Dave and Janet. We now have some more matching funds, folks. We used those up the other day, but we now just got that influx of matching funds. So that means that when you call in, your dollars are doubled immediately. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dave and Janet, for those matching dollars. Let's get them used up. Hey, let's get them used up this hour. We've got Bill Mayer coming in here to talk with us in just a minute. But as I'm speaking with him, stay on the line, stay on the air. Listen to Bill and I have a wonderful discussion, and call in with your pledges, 785-621-4110. Let's get Dave and Janet's matching funds used up this hour if we can. 785-621-4110. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We do have that total goal that we want to get to by the end of today of $125,000. Let's see what we can do to get there. You are on 101.7 KJDM Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 KMDG Hayes, 88.1 KRTT Great Bend, 88.1 KVDM Hayes, 89.1 KGOH Colby. Thank you all for listening. Stay with us all day long because we have an amazing lineup. You can go to dvmercy.com, and on our website there, you can look at the thermometer and you can see where we're at. Call 785-621-4111.